Hi guys, welcome to our first recorded lecture. We're going to start with Chapter 1, Managing the Transition to College. As you know, EDUC 13 is a course for first-time students, whether you're coming straight from high school, whether you're in dual credit so you're still in high school, or if you went and took went to work, went to the army, whatever, and now you're coming back to college. Generally, this is probably your first or second semester. So we're going to kind of talk about some of the differences. Really, a lot of students suffer from what I think is just kind of a culture shock of being in an environment previous to college where you're told when to turn things in, when to be where, and your schedule is sort of made for you, to now having the freedom of making your own schedule, being responsible for all of your own actions, and nobody's constantly reminding you and sending you text or emails when things are due, and you sort of get to manage that on your own. So we watched this video in week 1. I hope you had time to watch it. I really like, it's a little bit older now, but I really like the points that he makes about college is more than just the GPA. It's more than just going to classes, and a lot of students don't necessarily realize that. But it is about networking. It is about learning soft skills. It's kind of a whole package kind of deal that you really have to work on more, both your academic GPA and then, like he says, kind of getting that 4.0 outside of college. College is the place where you get to kind of make those mistakes because you're learning, you're figuring it out. But you're also building skills, building things to put on your resume, so that you can be more successful when you get out of college and you start looking for jobs. And just so we know that there are some rewards, statistics continue to show, and they continue every single year, to show the same thing, that more college tends to lead to a higher average of income, and with that also lower unemployment rates. And I attribute that to things. There's a lot of jobs out there. Healthcare is an easy example that require some sort of degree in skills training before you can even walk in the door. And many years ago when I did my undergraduate thesis, that was one of the things that I looked into, and it was healthcare specifically. Actually had higher levels of job openings, but they couldn't get people in there because people have to go and get these skills in college or wherever it is before they can come in. So when we talk about unemployment rates, we're not talking about McDonald's or Starbucks. We're talking about these jobs that require certain levels of education that really need people to come in and fill those roles. So having the degree, regardless of what it is, usually helps you get in the door easier. It makes you more competitive on your application and your resume, and it kind of sets you apart, depending on the field that you're in, because it shows that you have commitment. It shows that you're willing to start and finish something, which is really huge for employers, in addition to getting the skills in that area, right, that major. And you learn things that you just may not learn naturally everywhere else. Communication, oral and written communication skills are huge. Those are what we call soft skills. Learning how to advocate for yourself, learning how to problem solve. All those are soft skills that employers really, really like to see in their employees. But there's no course, there's no certificate. That's just something that we kind of learn. And college is a great way to learn a lot of those soft skills before jumping into the workforce. There's not to say that there's not risk. The video touched on this as well. Many of you are paying for college. Hopefully you get scholarships and Pell Grants. Likely some of you are doing loans. I did a lot of loans that I am still paying for. That is the cost, unfortunately. With coming to college, it's not free. Tuition continues to increase nationally. Financial aid is starting to dwindle, and it makes it really, really tough. That college debt can be long term. If you're thinking about loans, if you're not sure, remember that student loans, they're a great help right now, but they cannot be discharged. You can't bankruptcy out of them. There's no getting rid of them. It doesn't matter what's going on with your life. You might be able at some point when things are hard, you can get a temporary reprieve where they give you a few months where you don't have to pay, but that debt is always there. There's no getting out of it. So be really, really careful when you're looking at loans. Try to only borrow what you need. I did the borrow the max because, hey, it helped textbooks, it helped pay rent, whatever, and I will pay them until the day that I die because I have a lot of loans. So be really, really careful when you're looking at that debt. And then delayed income because you're doing college right now, right? So maybe you're not working or you're working part time, so things are going to be tight while you're in college, and that's no joke. We all need somewhere to live. We all need to eat, and that was that. These are true pre-COVID. They're certainly different now. So those are all things that you're balancing as a college student, and that is not to be ignored or unnoticed. You're writing papers, but you're also trying to live paycheck to paycheck, maybe, and that is both a risk and the reward of college. And then the time commitment. Your time is important, and if you're a full time student and you're taking 4 classes, that is all that time you're spending in class, and then you're spending close to 30 hours outside of class reading, studying, doing homework, writing papers, preparing for exams. It's a toll on what's going on with you, whether you're working, whether it's your personal life, you're limiting time with friends or family to get this done. It's rough. I did it with a 2-year old. I been working full time and taking classes at night. I did both my undergraduate and my graduate degree that way, and it is tough. You make a lot of sacrifice to be in college. Um, and some people will understand and support that, and some will not. And that's something that you personally have to make those boundaries. We're really going to dive into time management because that's going to be the best thing to help you balance all of this is when you can spread it out on a calendar. You can designate certain time for school, and then that allows you to see what free time you have, because sometimes when we go week to week, we think we have free time and we don't. Or we think we have free time and we use it, and then we realize we forgot a paper, we forgot a quiz, we forgot a discussion post, and then we're trying to do things last minute. Um, so we'll really kind of help delve into balancing that. But these are all things you have to consider. I always tell college students you are your own timeline. So if you're looking at, let's say, the delayed income and you need to take classes part time so you can work more, that's okay. That's a thing that you can do. It's all about and we'll talk about grit in chapter 2, but it's all about balancing it so that you can reach your goals. It's not about powering through and exhausting yourself and burning yourself out. So community college environment, just real quick on these, you do have students' rights and responsibility. You have a student handbook. This is all on the website for you. If you have any trouble finding it, let me know. And it's a two-way street. You're expected to have academic integrity, which means don't plagiarize, don't cheat, all of that. You're expected to complete your assignments. You're expected to respect each other, respect your professors, and your professors need to do the same for you. You're going to hear a lot of different opinions. There's a lot of diversity in community college, especially because we're what you call, open enrollment, as you know. And so we have students, we have international students, we have working students, we have full-time students, veterans, college students, traditional college students, high school students. So the classrooms can get really, really diverse. And there's a lot of opinions, which is awesome, makes for really fruitful conversations, but it's things that you as a college student need to understand and to respect. Keep on those goals. We're going to talk about values and goals in chapter 3 and chapter 4, along with time management. You are responsible for your personal behavior. I think a big one for college students is when we talk about freedom of speech. So just a reminder in your classes, freedom of speech as a constitutional amendment means the government cannot suppress your freedom of speech if you're a journalist. It does not mean freedom of consequence. So if you're in a course and you're becoming disrespectful to a peer, to a teacher, to anybody, there are consequences. You will have, discipline. You'll see a dean. No student has the right to come in there and bully or make a toxic atmosphere in a course. And so you as a student have to understand that you don't get that right, and also have to understand if there's somebody in your classroom that they don't get that right, and you can report them. And you can start by talking to your professor, or even your advisor can help escalate that with you. So remember all that. And then that last one, comply with all college policies, because we do have them. It's meant to make a safe learning environment for everybody. So there are responsibilities that you're going to have because you're considered an adult in college. I don't care if you're a 16-year-old dual credit student, You are considered an adult in college. You're responsible for everything that you do on campus. So real quick, community college versus high school. Again, both have rules, but high schools tend to be a little bit more micromanaging. They have bell schedules, right? You know where you're supposed to be. There's people walking the hallways if you're not in class. In college, there's no bell. And if you're not in class, you're not in class. And your consequence is whatever your professor's attendance policy is. So if your professor says in their syllabus that they will drop you if you have 3 absences and you have 3 absences and you get dropped, that is the responsibility that you have. Nobody's going to call or text your parents or call or text you if you miss class. The idea is that you're an adult. If you miss my class, I assume you're home and you're sick and you're taking care of yourself, or you're taking care of what you need to do, and you'll catch up on the work. And you will email me if it's a true life event. Like I've had students who've had to miss weeks of class because of a car wreck or a personal matter, and I can work with you on that. But if I hear nothing from you and you miss class, I assume that you're just choosing to miss class. Understanding high school teachers versus college professors. College professors tend to be a little bit more hands-off. I think the biggest difference from high school teachers to college professors is the credential requirements. So for high school teachers, they have to actually get a teaching degree. They have to, part of their undergraduate is they go into a high school course as a teaching assistant or an intern and spend time in that environment, and then they graduate. For college, you're required to have a master's degree in the area that you teach. So for example, chemistry, you're just required to have the master's degree in chemistry. You are not required to have any sort of teaching degree. So every class that you have in college, you will have a content expert. They will know that material through and through. They may not have a natural teaching ability. And that is where you as the student have to figure out how to navigate that. You're going to get a lot of different personalities with a lot of different courses. Some are going to teach really, really well to your learning preference, and some are not. And you have to decide if that's the right professor in class for you, or if you need to drop it. You can use materials outside of class, YouTube, Khan Academy, and then use the materials that ACC has for you, the library, learning lab, tutoring, to see if that gets you through that class. But that is going to be the biggest change that you're going to see, is the very different personalities and teaching styles you'll get in college. Preparing for tests in high school versus college. Some will give you a review, some won't. Some courses will have a lot of tests, some will have very different. We don't have a standard because we really adhere to what's called academic freedom. So the professors, we get a curriculum and there's things that we have to teach, and there's some assignments I know I have to give you. But outside of that, it's completely up to my discretion. And that's true for most of your teaching departments and professors. So it's going to be very, very different. Very few courses are going to give you a full review with games or any of that. Some might give you a review sheet to take home, and some might not give you anything at all. So that's going to be the biggest one. And then interpreting your grades versus grades in college. We don't necessarily do weighted grades. Certainly we don't have, at a community college, we don't do as much as like the valedictorian, salutatorian. Your traditional 4-year do a little bit more of that. You'll see we do our GPAs on a 4-point scale. That's pretty universal. You'll see our transcripts are A, B, C, or D. So your 98 or your 92 in a class is an A. Your 89 or your 81 is a B. If you're lucky, you might have a professor that will round that 89.2 up for you. They may not. I know for me personally, I'll round up if you've been in class, you've been engaged, you've been trying. But if you've been missing my class and you have that, 79.2, and I can't pick you out in a lineup if I needed to after 16 weeks together, I'm probably not going to round up for you. That is my personal policy, because I want to reward the work that I've seen. Every professor is different. There's no hard rule on that. But the biggest thing for students to understand is your grades are A, B, C, D, F. You do have some professors that don't give Ds. They either give you a C or an F, and that policy will be in their syllabus. So those are things to think about, especially if you're looking to transfer, because those grades and those GPA are really important when you start looking to transfer at different schools. So I'm just going to touch very quickly on these. You have different delivery formats. You have a lecture, which is your traditional format. Uh, includes discussions. This is sort of what we would have done in person. You've got labs, especially if you're taking science courses. A lot of science courses have labs, but also some of our foreign language. You have some seminars. Those aren't always for college credit. I don't think ACC has any that are college credit. Sometimes we have them with student life or workshops or seminars for personal enrichment. Some 4 years might have more seminar styles for college credit when you get into your upper level courses. Same thing, we have studios. You'll see that and a little bit more of our technical skills, jewelry. We have jewelry making. We have the fashion incubator. You'll also kind of see these are kind of studio labs to me. The welding, automotive, things that can't be done in a classroom. Again, workshops similar to seminars. You'll mostly see that with ACC. They're free personal enrichment. We'll have workshops for helping you write your resume, helping you job interview, helping you with study habits, just different personal enrichment ones that will help you be more successful. And then you have independent study. These are ones that you'll see when you're really close to that junior, senior level year, and it's going to depend on your major. And if that's an option, then you'll have a faculty member assigned that will help you with that. ACC might do some of that, but they're few and far between. I'm not aware of a lot, but it really is your upper level, usually like kind of your last semester. If it's not an internship, there might be an independent study option. Technology enhanced, you'll see you're all getting a crash course in online learning, whether you wanted it or not right now. But there will be different types traditionally when we get back to face and whatever the world looks like after COVID. You'll have different levels of technology, and a lot of these are depending on the course. So, of course, if you're in a computer science major, you're going to have a high level of technology. If you're maybe in a more liberal arts, you may not, and it may be the professor's preference on how much technology you use and what kind. So I'm using a blend of Blackboard and Google Classroom because I don't like to overwhelm with technology, but I do like certain features in Google Classroom. You're going to have some professors that have like 5 different apps they want you to download for different things, and some students love it, some students get overwhelmed, and professors are the same way. You have professors that don't want to do anything online and they want to be true face-to-face, and then you have some that will do a blend. And then you're going to have, even after this, when we go back to face-to-face, there's always been online learning as an option, and you will always have that, whether it's, again, the synchronous where there's virtual meeting times, or the asynchronous like our courses where you log in as you need to do the work that you want. Just in case you're not familiar, you have core courses. Those are your general ed requirements that are required on all 2 or 4 year degrees, especially in the state of Texas. Some of you may have done this in high school as dual credit. Some of you are in dual credit now, and some of you are doing it right now. This course, of course, is a core course. And then you have, government, history, English are the most common. Usually there's a creative arts, a social science, depending on your degree, a minimum of 2 physical sciences and at least 1 math. And then depending on your degree, it builds out for there. Because, of course, if you're a math major, there's way more math than just college algebra, which gets you into your course required in your major. So those are going to be kind of your higher level courses outside of the general ed that's just required. You're going to build on that. So if you're a math or science major, you're going to need more than the 1 math and the 2 sciences. If you're an English major, you're going to need more than just the 2 English courses that are all considered core. So they'll build out from that. But your core course, your general, those are the ones that most students take to prepare to transfer. A lot of the courses required by your major are better to take at your 4-year institution if that's your plan. And each 4-year institution has different requirements. So some will take 30 credit hours, some will take 60. It just really depends on your major and where you're going to go. So it's important to do that research. But traditionally, a lot of these course required for your major courses, they want you to do with them. And then, of course, you have some elective courses. And that's usually like when you look at your core, there's a creative art option. Some might have one or two a foreign language as an elective course. It really depends on how they built up their degree plan and honestly how many courses required for your major that they need you to take. And if they have room, then they'll give you an elective to kind of do something else a little bit more fun. It just really depends on your major, how many electives you'll have in your degree plan. Real fast, just types of college. This data is from 2015. I don't know that it's really changed that much. There's a lot of undergraduates. We're steadily seeing increases in students coming to college. We're really seeing increases in students coming to community colleges first and then transferring. And then you'll see typically there's more female students to male students. Nobody really has a reason why that is. We have a lot of students that do full time, but we're having a lot more do part time because a lot of college students are working as well. And then, of course, international students make up, as of this data, 4%. That's probably changed. It was increasing. Now it's likely decreasing, especially with the way the world is right now. It's harder for international students to come into the U.S. right now. So that's probably decreasing, but they do make up a portion of our college student population. And this is the one that I really want you to just pay attention to. It's important to know who we are and who we're in class with. And so I like the way that these overlap because we don't just fit in one bubble, right? So your traditional is you're just graduated high school coming into college full time. Non-traditional or is the one you might be fresh out of high school, but you're going part-time and you're working. Really just outside of a full-time college student. You're working, you have family responsibilities, any of those can fall under non-traditional. Again, international students are students here from another country that are just here to study and they're on a student visa usually. First generation, if you're the first person in your family to attend college, you're a first generation student, which always comes with some unique barriers because you don't have necessarily someone in your family that can kind of point you in the right direction. So you're sort of kind of figuring it out and you rely a lot more on college staff and resources than somebody whose parents or siblings have gone through this before and can tell you, oh, you need to talk to this person or, oh, you need to fill out this form. Nothing bad. It just has some unique barriers with that. And of course, students with disabilities, this is important. We do have an office, our Student Accessibility Services office, and they handle all accommodation requests. So if you had accommodations in high school, if you were a 504 student, if you think that you need them, please talk to that office. It's done all through them because they are the, HIPAA and FERPA trained, all of that. What will happen is they will walk you through their process. There are doctor's notes and things that they need. And then after you're approved, they give you a letter. And the letter, all it does is say, this student so-and-so needs these accommodations for your class. That's it. And you turn that into your professors. So all it tells me is your professor, maybe you need extended time on my test. If we were taking tests in class and the hour and 20 minutes wasn't going to be long enough. That's it. Because as your professor, that's all I need to know. It tells me nothing about your specific situation, disability, any of that, because that's not my business. So if you're not sure, please talk to them. We do have students who think that they're okay. They had it in high school. They don't think they need it in college. And then their grades start to suffer. And you can apply for accommodations at any point in the semester, but they kick in as soon as they're approved. So you can't go back. So if you blow the first two tests because you needed accommodations and you didn't think that you did, you can't retake those tests. You can start fresh from when you got approved and finish out the rest of the semester and probably talk to your professor and see if there's options. But that's the biggest thing. It's better to have them and maybe you don't need to use the letter, and that's fine too, than to figure out halfway through the semester that you need them. So please talk to that office if it's ever been a consideration. They'll let you know what it looks like, what can be approved, and what all their options are. I've seen everything from the most common is extended time on test, but I've also seen getting a note taker, being able to record the course, things like that. And then, of course, working students, whether you're traditional or non-traditional, a lot of students work, some part-time. I know at ACC, I see a lot of full-time working students that are working 40 hours a week and then taking classes outside of that. And that's important as we talk about time management and finding that balance, because I get it. Job has to happen, right? We have bills, we have things we're responsible for. And we've got to make school work along with that. So we will touch into that in some future chapters. And then this is my last thing. We talked about, so on our Blackboard page under Start Here, there is netiquette guides, but especially now you're emailing a lot of your professors. And there's not like a specific way that needs to be done, but there does need to be some amount of professionalism to it. You cannot, please don't email your professors like you're texting them. Please, complete sentences. This one is not okay, besides the subject line being completely misspelled. If I got this email, I am teaching 2 courses. Chris, I don't know which course you're in. I don't have a last name. I don't have a date that you missed. And I'm not going to email you an entire lecture's worth of information because you missed it. It's your responsibility to go through the course content, go through the syllabus, go through the session schedule, look at what you missed, and then you may email me questions specific to what you missed. But I'm not going to send you everything that I did for everybody who did come to class. This is another one. Again, I don't know who Cameron is. And these are things I found on the internet, by the way, not by real students that emailed me. It gives me no information about what class it is. And then, can you send me the slides? Probably not. I usually don't share. If I share my PowerPoints, I share them with the class. I'm not going to send them to a specific student. This is where it's important when we're face-to-face more than here, because you have the recordings. But this is where it's important to get to know your classmates and somebody that can help share notes with you. And then again, go back to the reading, go back to the session schedule, and then you may email me if you have a specific question you're not understanding about the content. But very few professors are just going to email out their slides. So then I found this again on Google, and it just kind of gives you how to write an email to your instructor or TA. And I'm telling you, I've seen some crazy emails. So be really careful. Use this as a chance to be professional. As we talked about at the beginning of this lecture, you're learning some soft skills that will be important to employers. And you wouldn't email your boss like this. You wouldn't email your boss and be like, hey, what are our benefits like? What am I going to get paid? Thanks. Like, you're going to have to come up with some full sentences. Again, if you can, check the syllabus. I know it's lengthy, but it has a lot of the information in there for you. And then be very, very specific. If you have a question about my office hours, when is your office hours? I'm going to tell you to look at the syllabus or the Blackboard page where I put it. But maybe you have a question about what office hours look like. What can you ask me in office hours? You can email that to me. That's not in the syllabus, right? And we can have that discussion. But make sure your questions are specific, and make sure it's not already in the syllabus. And then make sure that, that you do a proof of it, especially in a day where Google and Microsoft Word underlines everything for you. It's really hard to understand how you misspelled office and didn't check it, or hours. So those are just some tips. A lot of professors email it. You will be emailing your professors a lot in this virtual environment. So please make sure you put, it helps me if you put in which section you are in of mine. Even a full name can help a lot. And then be specific with your questions. It can't be, what is the time management project? But it can be, hey, I don't understand the reflection questions of this project, or I don't understand when it's due. Those things are totally fine that you can email to me and ask me those specific questions. But if you're asking me to explain something that's a full explanation that I've already explained, then I'm just going to refer you back to the recording or to the syllabus. All right, guys, that's all I have for you for chapter 1. It really is just an overview, kind of just getting you used to your expectations for college. You do have a lot more expectations on you as the student than you've probably seen before. Some students absolutely love that. Some are really intimidated by that, but you'll get used to it. And thanks so much.